We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, iZotope.com. What's happening? Thanks so much for tuning in to Hyphenate Halftime, your Monday morning jolt of Jolt. The fresh big can of Jolt soda for you.
Jolt.
You wake up on Monday. Joining me as a Jolt compatriot, as always, Mr. Aaron Farley. How are you today, sir? More Jolt.
I just had to make myself a coffee. I'm be here. I'm going to be here in about 3 minutes.
Yeah. Today is July 14th. Last week's guest was Jeff Parker from the Inimitable. I don't know how you say it.
Onomatopoeia.
Yeah. Band Tortoise from Chicago. He now resides here in LA and has an incredible solo oeuvre of work and is playing out this fall. He's got a bunch of tour dates and he's got solo records. Everyone should go by. But we're here to talk about my last week's interview with Jeff Parker and the 1995 action thriller The Net, starring Sandra Bullock. I kept calling her Sandra Bullock last time. It's Sandy Bullock.
I did see, because I searched on YouTube for The Net, Sandra Bullock, whatever.
Yeah.
And so then I started getting some Sandra Bullock. I started getting pushed some Sandra Bullock
things. Algorithms.
It seems like when people talk about her who know her, they refer to her as Sandy.
Sandy. Okay, well, let's call her Sandy Bullock.
But that's an interesting. I wonder if she was always Sandy, and then when she became an actor, they were like, "Well, you're going to have to be Sandra." Right? It sounds so much fancier.
Yeah, well, I think you have to have a stage actor name when you join the guild, or what is it, Screen Actors Guild, the union. You have to have your own unique name. So that's often why people use screen names, even if their original name wasn't that different. Right. But they have to pick a name. This. I've heard of it. I don't know. I'm not part of the
because
Screen
you can't
Guild.
Have. I mean, can you be like John Smith? You can't, because there's just too many, and you have to. I don't know.
No, I think they want something different. This is they're always in the interviews you hear when somebody says, "Well, I was born this name, but my professional name is this." Or
Bradley Pitt.
Right, exactly.
Bradley Pitterson.
Yeah, that's the real name. Tom Cruise was Thomas Mapplethorpe. Oh no, Mapother.
Oh really?
Yeah.
But Cruise.
But he has a cousin, I think, who he puts in a lot of his movies, and his last name's still Mapother. But they don't really look alike. But you can but the name throws it off.
I kind of like it when big famous when entertainment things become like the family business.
Oh yeah, right. You mean nepotism?
Yeah, but it's like I there is that, yes. Yep. But there's also a lot of if you start a restaurant,
sure,
and then your kids are like, hey, we grew up running this place and mom and dad are retiring and we're just going to take it over. Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like why do you think you're comfortable in the world that you know? I mean, if you grew up going to, the company picnic and all the people in there and you're familiar with the distribution and the installation or the parts, whatever you hear about these stories at the dinner table of what your folks are working on, then it feels more of a, it's an easier thing to step into. And especially if you have a famous parent, then it's like, oh Lord, okay. You already have a foot in the door. Whether or not you get the jobs or whether or not you're any good at it isn't necessarily the case, but at least you could get meetings, you can get an agent easier. For sure. You could be Colin Hanks or you could be Chet Hanks.
Chet.
I love Chet. I love watching those old interviews with Chet Hanks when he's talking about going to Jamaica and stuff.
So bad.
Oh my god!
But even Colin Hanks is the son from the first marriage, and he sort of had to make it on his own. As much as having a last name like Hanks, I'm sure doesn't hurt. I think he sort of had an independent.
Right.
Life.
He didn't really grow up with.
No, he grew up in Sacramento with his mom, but would spend weekends in summer or the occasional the holidays and things with the dad in Hollywood.
How weird to grow up in Sacramento and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to for summer to hang out with Tom Hanks.
Like, well, America's favorite dad, especially
dad,
on the rise, because he probably wasn't, Tom Hanks in the 80s wasn't Tom Hanks in the 90s, I'm sure his whole life changed. And so the dad he was going to visit probably went from being in an apartment somewhere off Hollywood Boulevard to a large mansion somewhere near the beach.
Well, and I heard, I've heard a couple of interviews with him, like the long form ones when he's not just like chatting it up with Jimmy Fallon or whatever, but when he's actually being interviewed. And he sounds like an intense guy. I always thought he was kind of, no, Tom Hanks.
Oh, Tom Hanks.
That he would be kind of this chill, like, hey, everybody. And then, but when he starts talking and you're like, oh, you have like intense ADD kind of rambling, really like intense stories and like, oh, you're like a different guy.
Well, Michael Jordan doesn't become Michael Jordan, on accident.
100%.
It's created.
No one gets to that point without having an insane work ethic and competitive. Yeah. And like, just, I need to be here, and here, and nothing's going to stop me. And that usually creates a lot of problems for the rest of your life, I would imagine.
Good vibes, healthy relationships with everybody in them.
Yeah.
But wow, July is flying by. It feels like it's just been a few days since our last Hyphenate.
Yeah. It does.
We are batching these a little bit early. If there's some crazy news story that happened yesterday, July 16th, we are shocked and saddened just as much as anybody else is. But we have no specific opinions to give about it today.
I'm sure there will be 10 to 12 shocking stories between.
It's the trouble with
when this comes out,
with recording any podcast in advance. Like, why aren't they talking about the thing? How could they be so callous to not talk about the big story that just happened, the horrible thing that happened over the weekend? Well, what I will tell on ourselves. Yeah. We are recording this in the past, or recording this for the future from the past.
I'll just showed you some space.
We just showed our kids the Back to the Future. I feel like this is a Back to the Future quantum loop here. Oh, but yeah. Should we insert something if we need to? We'll have some blank space to.
I'll just give
an opinion.
I'll just make sure to give you space so then you can add things in. By the way, did you hear about? Wow, this is such a crazy thing. Oh, Aaron's mic's off. Okay, hold on. Oh yeah. We heard the whole thing.
Wow.
We heard the whole thing, and he is incensed.
Fuck this shit. But yeah, Jeff Parker, did you listen to Tortoise growing up, or were you a fan of Tortoise? How did you first come across them?
I mean, I listened to Tortoise a little bit later, when I was like right when I got to LA. Like what years were they? Were those records put out? They
kind of come from the mid to late 90s. I think it was sort of their rise of popularity. I'm going to look it up real quick here just to see, because there was the album TNT in 1998. I think really that came out as I was a fan. I got a copy of their I don't think it's an EP, but it's the record. I had it on CD, I guess. Millions Living Will Never Die from 1996, but that had already come out, so I probably got that around 97. And then I was a fan of that. It's one of those, like all of their work, just instrumental, sort of monumental pieces of
totally
post-rock, jazz, experimental music that just sort of, it was just like, I'd never heard anything like that. And I someone had let me borrow the CD, or gave me the CD. And then I taped it and I had it on a cassette tape, so I could just walk around and just definitely I felt like I was like living in a movie as a teenager. Totally. In the suburbs, listening to this like long 8-minute just sort of sprawling thing. I was never a prog rock kind of person, so it was probably the closest thing to Pink Floyd I was experiencing. It was blowing my mind.
Well, I was a big Pink Floyd, Rush, and Rush fan. And so then, but I wasn't really, I had taken like some jazz theory classes for music in college. So I was a little bit into like free jazz, Ornette Coleman, kind of the craziest, like, so I knew enough about kind of the weirder side of jazz to then hear them for the first time. And I'm now thinking of it, I think that I listened to them first when I was in Portland. The photographer that I was working for, Morgan Henry, he used to bring in like stacks of CDs every week. He would go, because photographers made good money back then. And he would just come in with like, hey, I got 20 new CDs.
Stack of CDs.
Yeah. And that's where I heard all of the like the kind of stuff that I had that wasn't indie rock punk kind of underground. And he would bring in like Nick Cave and Tortoise and, those kind of like from the same idea, but a little bit more high. I don't know. What would you call it? Like a little bit more refined, I would say.
Elevated.
A little older than like a 22-year-old, like he seemed old. I'm sure he was only like 30, but he listened to a lot more of that Tom Waits and and kind of like slightly elevated, but still kind of coming from that punk realm that I wasn't really. I knew Tom Waits a little bit, but it was more of listening to that
a few years before your time. Just sort of appreciate at that age. I'm just looking here
and
on
Tortoise
the millions,
was in that mix sure.
I'm looking at the Millions Now Living Will Never Die Wikipedia entry, and it says by March 1998, the album had sold over 50,000 copies, with 80% as CDs and the remainder as LPs. So that was from 96 when it was released to 98, they sold 50,000 copies. So I was caught up in that wave of the Millions Now Living Will Never Die CD.
And that's a pretty, back then, and I don't even know how much like were bands like that, would that be a big amount for like a band like Tortoise? If you're putting them out, are you expecting like, but 20, 30,000? Like 50 is a lot.
I think Bettina at Thrill Jockey, who released this record and a number of their records, was very happy to sell 50,000 copies, especially with the majority of them being CDs. Because, I think we've talked about this in the past too, but just the economy of CDs, I think the actual manufacturing cost, this CD had a little bit cooler packaging, but the normal plastic, kind of standard CD case. With the booklet. I think that the whole cost of that thing per CD was about 10 cents at the time.
Really?
There's I'm sure for what do you call it? Inflation, but then you'd sell it for $15, $20, right? New, you go and sell 15, but nothing ever less than $10. So, it's almost 90%, if not, 200% of again, I'm not a mathematician, but of profit, a huge amount of profit on CDs. So if you put that in, if you say whatever, even if you go down to, make it around number 10 copies, so you're making, $9 profit, at least for everything. Crazy. So 50,000 times 9 is a bunch of money, bunch of cash.
And the CD really changed. So even if you're doing like a really we're putting extra pages in, or when you guys
that'll cut in.
Massive
go from
booklet,
from 10 cents to maybe up to $1, $1.20, $1.50. Like even the Millions Now Living Will Never Die was kind of one of those cool sort of 90s like recycled paper, silk screened, and the little with a little case, little slip thing went into. But I'm sure it couldn't have been more than $2 each. And just from the economy of it all, that was the boom of the 90s. That's where, even independent record labels, this is the kind of the thing I think I harp on. there's a oh no, it was in the Tim Byron thing. I think I was pounding the podium of the Church of Independent Music, where it was like, this is the world. There may have only been 10 years or 20 years at the most from the 80s to the aughts when you could be an independent record label and sell CDs of local bands or bands that were unique to your area, and you could make money and the band could make money and they could go on tour. And there was a small window of time where the economy and the financial sort of world made sense, and a lot of it was built off of that high profit margin of CDs. You could also take it from the major label side where those major labels were just swimming in cash, but they're also putting it into finance the music video market and doing all kinds of stuff. But really, especially the when all of those classic records got re-released, like Back in Black, you're just printing money. That's and that would go just into those major labels' pockets. Band would get, but again, there was still the thought of royalties, which is different than what it is today on streaming, where there's no money. The streaming thing, there's literally it's a zero thing to make in terms of like per play. It doesn't, you're paying for server space and whatever, keeping the lights on at some dickhead's office. But anyway, but they, you know what I mean? But they changed the model so much from where people would assume you'd have to buy something for $20, not knowing the amount of markup on it, to then just be, well, it should just all be free. Really kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater in that transition. But.
Well, and the interesting thing about that too is that the labels really fought that whole transition, right? Until they got in and got the sweet deal.
Suckered it.
Or they got the sweet deal of they got the money, right? Like they do the deals with the Spotify and everything else for their half or their chunk.
Whatever. Yeah.
And then.
But it really put a hurt on the independent labels like a Thrill Jockey or, Tetsuko or these kind of things. But
well, and I guess that makes sense that then the indie labels got bought up by the big labels, because you could, even as an indie label, you could still make a good chunk of money if you're selling CDs.
Sure.
And so it was actually a viable, oh, well, we'll just buy those up and get all of because there's money to be made at those lower markets or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think Jeff Parker was in the band for the Millions Now Living Will Never Die record, but he did come on for the TNT record, which was in 1998.
Okay, and then John Herndon did the art for that, right?
Yes, yeah.
Wasn't that from the previous one of the previous?
Oh yes,
your previous episodes. You can go back and listen to
one by one.
John Herndon.
If I could interview each person, each member of Tortoise, I would definitely do that in a heartbeat. Yes. It's an open invitation. Yes. If anybody's ever played in Tortoise, you are invited onto this podcast. I mean, I think Pajo played in Tortoise for a while too. I don't know if he was on a record. I mean, he might be on the Millions Now Living. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Jeff Parker joined the band in 1996.
Is Tortoise?
Sorry.
Okay, so you're gonna have Tortoise versus Smashing Pumpkins. Like everybody going forward will have either been a Tortoise or Smashing Pumpkins.
That's
where you're going.
Going into year 3 of Hyphenate, I'm strictly limiting all guests to have either been on the roster of Tortoise or Smashing Pumpkins. Two very similar Chicago bands. Yes.
Oh yeah, they're both from Chicago, right?
I will accept.
Has there ever been?
As well?
Well, maybe is David Pajo is he's the through line.
He's the glue to
if this. he's been kind of in and out of both camps. This is good.
This could work.
I like this.
But yeah, no, it doesn't. But this Wikipedia for TNT does not say how many CDs they sold and what amount of the time. But yeah, I love this record. TNT was great. This was this was my Tortoise record. I was right in that sweet spot of being 17 and just feeling like I was the coolest kid on the block, owning this, again on CD when it came out. Man,
well,
cool.
And that's a big deal for a band that, I mean, they're kind of in their own, I mean, you would know better than me, but they seem like they're kind of in their own lane of being cool and kind of jazz influenced, but still very respected by the underground punk kind of like that could be like your kind of cool, chill, weird instrumental band. I mean, I guess there's a lot more, but they hold that space of like the jazz influence and everything. But they all like when I think of Tortoise, I still think of them in that kind of, I don't know, indie rock, punk, post punk. I think of that in that category for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think they come from that. Jeff talks about it a little bit in the interview, where he talks about that everybody kind of came from punk backgrounds, but but everyone wanted to do something different, and everyone was kind of bringing something different, or that sort of experimentation motivation to build a different band, build different music, but kind of sharing that rock, sort of indie rock, punk DIY sort of background.
Yeah, and I guess that makes sense if you think of like Mike Watt or any of those guys in the early punk, like the ethos of that was like, yeah, get weird, be weird.
Yeah,
punk is just weird.
Punk is like,
the Minutemen and Black Flag couldn't sound more different, and they were like in the same idea, the same ethos of music at that time.
Yeah.
So like bringing that same thing, but adding kind of jazz and fusion and weirdness. I mean, I think that Jeff said that too. It's like, yeah, it should be weird. It should just be like, things should be more weird. Like, yeah, I agree. I don't know why they aren't. I think the lack of weirdness in most things is what gets us stuck. You get like the second restaurants, like all the restaurants are not weird anymore, then you're just like, you're out in the suburbs in a mall, right? It's like nothing's weird anymore. You don't have like the little old lady who decided to make a restaurant and everything in the interior is all cats and everybody's going to wear cat ears like all the servers have to wear cat ears, and that's just the thing. It's like, why do you do that? Well, why wouldn't you want to wear cat ears when you're serving pancakes?
Yeah. Well,
exactly. This is what makes a place is the weird stuff.
But right? Now in the post sort of social media world where it's like it's a trend, like each thing is unique in exactly the same way, where there'll be a fake plant wall with some scripty neon sign right behind it that you can take a photo in front of.
Home is home.
Yeah. That all of these, weird has been co-opted in a way where it becomes a marketing asset versus just being weird for weird's sake. And I think in terms of the punk or post-punk and sort of independent college radio alternative world, post-Nirvana, post-grunge, there was sort of that look, especially because all of that stuff had been swept up from the underground straight to the major labels into modern radio, alternative radio stuff, that the kind of the underground stuff was sort of floating. And it was that post, or that, that late 90s, early 2000s, there was that kind of world of like anything could be anything. I think Stereolab is another great example of that of a band with sort of retro futuristic communism lyrics and this, kind of a unique point of view. I sort of hold Stereolab and Tortoise in similar sort of spheres for my fandom.
Bell and Sebastian.
There you go. Yeah, like a twee Scottish bedroom, recording band. That was again, it was just sort of an open book, and I think eventually then we would then settle on warmed over dog shit like the Strokes and White Stripes. We're just like, oh, this is the cool thing. Everybody's got to get to this. No more of this weird music. Let's just do something that's been formulaic and reheated again. Like, what if a brother and sister were married and sounded exactly like Led Zeppelin? It's like, oh God, really? That's the thing? Everyone's going to get excited? I remember arguing with people at the time, even like, oh, no, that's not experimental at all. There's nothing, they're not dangerous or challenging or weird in any way, shape or form. This is like the most mediocre kind of like white man's blues I've ever heard. Like, why are we celebrating this? Or even the Strokes with, his haircuts and jackets and, again, sounding like, between Velvet Underground and Tom Petty. Yeah, you're like, fuck this. Like, that's not interesting.
Like how did Tom Petty get writing credit on that? For American Girl? For
but you know what I mean? Where it was weird. It was weird for a while, and then I feel like the 2000s came along, and everyone was like, no, we're not weird. We're partying. We're doing cocaine and wearing white belts. I'm like, oh, wait, disco's cool again? Fuck, I'm screwed. I just fell out of it.
Someone has to find... Once the problem is, and I mean, I guess it's like I'll just call it a problem. It's the problem is that there's always someone who can figure out how to make money out of something. And once those people get involved, they're like, wait a second, 2 and 2 is 4, and I see the 2 and the other 2 is over there.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring those together, and it's going to be like a waterfall of money, and I'm going to not care where and when and how and anything. And then I'm out. You deal with it.
I feel the cultural impact or lack thereof is not my problem. I'm here to make the money.
And speaking of Billy Corgan.
Oh, hey.
I don't know why all of a sudden Billy Corgan started coming up. I got some.
It's going to be in your algorithm.
Some threads or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But something came up. He was being interviewed, and he was saying that what's their big song, Bullet with Butterfly Wings or something?
Sure.
The one with all the huge orchestra,
the world is a vampire?
Beautiful. No, it's just like the big kind of slow song, a really big song. And he was like, I wanted to show that like I could write like real music, right? Like I'm writing for an orchestra, I'm doing this thing, make this huge thing. It's very successful. And then the label goes, yeah, no, it's great. It's great. So what if you write something more like, whatever, the heavy rock, whatever. And he's like, no, I want to write more stuff like this. And it's like, well, it's like hard to, I mean, yeah, it was successful, but that's what go one. Why don't you write more? So then he wrote that Rat in a Cage.
Oh no.
Like, I'm rat in a cage and I'll still rat in a cage. As a like, fuck you. And it became like his biggest song. It's like, he's like, sure, I'll write the next like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, whatever, like that heavy Stone Temple Pilots.
Teenage angst has paid off well.
Yeah. And they were like, yes, write more of these.
Yeah.
And then, that just like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. What am I going to do? Okay. I want more orchestras, but they want more pissed off kids that buy t-shirts.
But yeah, I was so stoked to just kind of hear Jeff's journey and his story and his experience, just creating these awesome records. I was working on something with Jeff a few months back, and I asked him about the song. It was the first song on Standards, which again was the kind of the trifecta of records by Tortoise that really were like life changing to me. Is Millions Now Living, TNT, and Standards from 96 to 2001. I don't know if you know this record. It kind of has like American flag sort of motif collage on the cover. And I think but the titles are all very kind of esoteric, but I think Seneca, but it has a type of almost like a Level Terrace Apart sort of figure in the guitar part. And he showed it to me, played it. I was like, how do you play that? And it's because it had been stuck in my head in such a way. It's such a catchy riff. And he showed it to me. I was like, oh, this is so good. And even, in talking with Herndon, there's a few.
How was it having
what's that?
I was going to say, how was it having the actual guy show you the?
I highly recommend it. If you ever get the opportunity to meet anybody who's written and performed some of your favorite songs that have been earworms for decades in your brain, and you can sit with them and ask them to play it, and they're nice enough to do that for you. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend.
100%.
Because I think that record again, was that sort of that 2001. I'm in college now, and that just sort of just rent free in my head forever. Just a height of musicianship and just experimentation and composing all these things. I was just like, I don't have anything that does this. I don't know how you make it. I don't know exactly how you want to make it. I wouldn't want to see how the sausage is made. I mean, obviously that guitar riff is singular. But the whole thing, I remember just thinking, like, as I moved forward and started playing music and doing more stuff, I was like, okay, well, I'll never be Tortoise. Like that's just something that is out of reach. So it's been nice enough to get to talk to some of these people.
Well, that's awesome.
I still feel like I can't now. Years later, I was like, yeah, I still can't make that record. It's great.
Well, and I love how he talked about how difficult it was at times to make the records because they really all had to agree on everything, which is like the most difficult way to do anything.
Yeah.
Especially when you have like, I'm sure like everybody, especially because everyone's kind of coming from different modes of music and having different ideas of what's cool and what works and what doesn't work. And to know that they went through that for every single one of those songs, to be like, nope, everyone has to agree to get through this. And I think that's so. It probably speaks to why the music sounds so timeless. It's like it doesn't sound like it's stuck in a time at all.
Sure, right. Influenced by what was going on around it, the other bands are playing with, or sort of what was popular on the radio. It was definitely made to sort of sit in its own sort of time.
Yeah.
In time and space, and incredible records. I mean, really, just what a fun band, and just seeing even Jeff play solo now, and just like that's it. There's such a talent. Just somebody who it's just him and a guitar, and I do the same thing. I have almost the same guitar, almost the same amp, and like I'm not making any of those sounds. when I pick up a guitar, it does not sound like that. When you pick up that guitar, it sounds like that.
What's his solo project called?
I think it's just his name. I mean, he has a series of releases where he's under quartets or different things.
Oh, okay.
I can look it up.
Because he mentioned something in there, and I forgot. I was out painting the garage while I was listening, and I forgot to write down. He said like a band name.
Oh gosh, what am I missing here? Anyway, might have been the last thing he did. Let's see here. Recent releases. He has a Jeff Parker ETA Ivet, Fortet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's very smart. And then what are there? There's a lot of different groups. It looks like here.
But most of it, he's going under his own name.
I think so. It seems like maybe there was a particular record or,
Cool.
But fantastic musician. Really, really blown away.
Well, and then did I see that you're playing with John?
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, you should talk about that because I just saw it on your Instagram and I'm like, what?
We're playing
for the art show.
Today is the 14th.
Oh yeah. So you played?
No, it's coming up this Saturday, July 19th. I'll be playing at the Adler Smith Art Gallery for a Stacy Peralta opening. The Stacy Peralta from the Pal Peralta Bones Brigade, skateboard company. He's been doing a series of paintings, and he's having an art show at the Adler Smith Gallery in Santa Monica. You can go to my Instagram at Randy S. Randall to see the flyer. But Charles Adler, the gallerist who's put together, I had done a performance with John Herndon and Ray Barbie where we did a live score for the Thomas Campbell past Hyphenate guest Thomas Campbell did a film screening there, and past guest Ray Barbie and past guest John Herndon and I all did a improvised trio to write a live soundtrack to the film, which we had done a number of times before that too, but that's kind of where we brought it to that gallery space. So then Charles reached out if I wanted to put something together for the Stacy Peralta opening. And so I reached out to Watt, and to Ray was unavailable. Ray Barbie couldn't play, but he was part of the kind of the invite list. As well as Lance Mountain, which was really fun to be on a text chain with Lance Mountain. But Lance wasn't going to do it unless Ray was doing it, and Ray couldn't do it.
What does Lance play? Does he play guitar?
He plays drums.
Oh, okay.
But Hago Nigerian, who is an awesome guitar player and a skater from that era as well, he'll be on guitar. And I played with Hago in the Operation Creative Freedom project with all the murals we do for kids and live music in Paramount. We do annually, like kind of an annual cover song and jam with students at this elementary school in Paramount, California. So I know Hago from that, and so it'll be me and Hago on guitars, and then Mike Watt on bass and John Herndon on drums. And we had to come and Watt was like, "Let's think of a name. We got to come up with a name." So I just trying to think of skate related things. I came with Wall Ride. So the name of the band, the name of the trio or the quartet is called Wall Ride, and we're playing this Saturday. So if anybody wants to come down, if you're in the LA area, want a day at the beach, I think we go on probably around 7:00 or something. It's free at the gallery. It's a very small gallery though. I don't know. Don't too many people come.
Millions. We need millions. I want to shut down that street.
Have a line around the block.
Let's go.
But yeah, I'm so stoked. Yeah, it'll be a really fun thing, and we'll be doing kind of improvised compositions and things. So
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is it all improv? Or are you guys rehearsing it all?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we're going to, as far as it looks now, but I would love to keep it going. Yeah. I've had friends reach out and be like, is this a thing? Can we play with you guys? Can we do more shows? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't really, but I would love to do that.
Talk to my manager.
Borgman Tourist, get him on the phone. It'd be really fun to find out, to see if we could do more stuff. But I mean, I'm just such a fan. I'm sure I'll just be pinching myself, the whole time in between playing out of tune guitar licks. But I'm also playing solo the following Saturday, July 26th, at the Goldfish here in it's in Highland Park, I think, on York.
Okay.
And that'll be fun. I'll be doing a solo set there. So if you're in LA here in July, the later part of July, come on out, see some music. Should be fun. But we got to make sure we save some time to talk about our good friend Sandy Bullock and the Net. This is film 4 of our science fiction summer.
I think it's film
extravaganza.
I think it's film 3.
Film 3. Okay, so we did War Games, Sneakers, Johnny Mnemonic. Now the Net 4.
Number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Same year as Johnny Mnemonic, 1995. Not quite as dystopian as the Johnny Mnemonic world, kind of set in the present day.
Because almost everything is during the day. Just like there's some beach scenes. Even when they're at the computer, whatever that was. What was that at the end? It was like computer convention?
Computer Expo in San Francisco?
The Computer Expo where you can just jump on computers willy-nilly.
Yeah, they used to have those back in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess maybe if you're trying the new they did do like a real close-up on PowerPC, which is like the weird version of Apple when Steve Jobs they kicked Steve Jobs out.
Are you serious? I don't know anything about this.
Know about this?
No, what's the story of that?
Because he did the first Apple II, right? Okay. Apple IIe or whatever.
Macintosh.
That was like the Macintosh, but the computer was inside, was like self-contained. And and it's very successful, but then I don't know, it was just politics or something. And he was trying to go for, like, at that point, he was trying to really go in with the artists and musicians. And he was like, no, these things are going to be creative tools. And he was like going over, like, him and I think Steve Wozniak even was going to like Andy Warhol's studio and bringing them like a Mac and like an Apple IIe and showing them these programs that they could use to make art on the computer. And he was really pushing all this stuff. And
he saw the application of it.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know if that, I don't know what the impetus was, but the board fired him from being the head of the company for like years.
For being too out there, for being too...
I don't know. They wanted to go more PC route, I think. I could also just be making all of this up. I know he was fired, but I think, the PC route was like, no, we're everything, we're going to make a box and then everybody else is going to make all the stuff that works on the box. And his whole thing was like, no, we're going to be self-contained. Like, we're going to make all the applications. We're going to make the hardware, the hardware on the software, and everything is going to be self-contained because we need to like control all that stuff. And I think the other people didn't want to. And so then they had Apple for a while, which did not have Steve Jobs as CEO.
And this was called the Power PC?
And so they made Power PC, which was around this time, which was like 90.
Yeah.
Well, it was like when I was in college. So it was like 93 to maybe 95.
94 to 2006.
94. Wow. 2006.
Yeah.
No way. Really?
So that's what they're saying here on apple.fandom.com.
Wow,
with the wiki Power PC. Yeah, it was a cornerstone of AIM's prep and common hardware reference platform initiatives in the 1990s. Well known for being used by Apple's Power Macintosh lines from 94 to 2006, the architecture was also used in video game consoles such as the Apple Bandai Pippin, Sony's PlayStation 3, Microsoft's Xbox 360, and Nintendo's GameCube, Wii, and Wii U, an embedded application that far exceeded Apple's use.
Okay.
Wow. So
it's largely based on that,
IBM's Power architecture retains a high level compatibility with it. So it was like an operating system. Is that what we're saying?
Well, because before that, like Mac stuff only ran on Macs and PC stuff only ran on PC, and there was no like you couldn't do both, right? And then I think the Power PC or whatever was that architecture where it was like, no, we can use Word and we can use some different PC,
so some crossover thing. That
PC software on our
proprietary.
Yeah, it's not proprietary. But then they realized that wasn't working, and they were just becoming like some other IBM or
they weren't leading the market. They were kind of just meshing with the market instead of leading it.
And then I think in that time, I think that that Steve Jobs then was working with Pixar and doing his other stuff. And then they were like, maybe you should probably come back. And then he came back, but he came back before 2006. He came back because
maybe it was just
because the iPod and everything was like 2001, 2002 maybe iPod.
Yeah. Ooh, iPod. I want to say it was later, like into the end of the aughts. At least when I got mine, I didn't get. Maybe it was.
No, because the iPhone was at the end of the aughts. The iPhone was like 2000. Okay.
But this was still in the days when
I love guessing.
Not everybody got.
We're literally both on Macs. We're both on Macs, and neither one of us is searching the internet.
Our computer is just going to start slapping us. Like, guys, stop! You're hurting me. You're using.
Did you say
computer.
iPod?
Like, stop!
iPods didn't exist. Wait, no, they did exist. No, they didn't.
This is a great time to have our AI surrogates to make wildly incorrect claims.
Yeah,
the face of a baby or a panda or a lizard.
Could we have like a baby, one of the babies talking to a panda, or do they have to both be babies?
So I think, as far as I can tell now, Riverside has this embedded trial use AI filter that I've been inundating my poor social media followers with. You have to be the same, both of each. But I'm wondering, probably with maybe we could editing do software, you could edit one to the other, and
Yeah, you could send one to the panda one and one to the baby one, and then you could have
and then cut it together
the
myself.
Baby and panda.
Maybe that could work.
What about a baby panda?
Baby panda.
It was weird when the pandas had human teeth. That was strange.
Very scary. Well, even the babies had a full set of like adult teeth. That's what Shannon pointed out. She's like, oh yeah, babies don't have teeth. I was like, oh, that's why they look weird. You're right. Teeth seems to be hard for this particular.
See, these are the things
AI thing that we don't know how to do yet.
These are the things that AI doesn't know about babies.
And I also don't know about power PCs.
I say
Steve Jobs.
Keep making the AI think that babies have teeth, because it might keep them from trying to take over quickly. It was like even the little ones have like really scary teeth.
They'll bite us.
Really scary teeth and like 7 fingers. It's very weird. They're very weird. I'm not going to try to take them over yet.
But in terms of misremembered half-assed internet research, I do remember that the Pixar thing in that era, it was originally developed by George Lucas and part of ILM, and then he couldn't keep it. It was unclear the amount of money that he was spending to what was going to be the final application of it. So then he spun that off from ILM to, I think he sold it to Steve Jobs. And then Steve Jobs had it, and then that was sort of under his control. But it was originally like something I think that had been developed at Lucasfilm. But then they weren't able to. They weren't going to manufacture, or they weren't going to produce their own films using it. You know, what I mean, the idea of So I think the Pixar part of it was that Steve Jobs could actually, they could make storytelling films with this rather than it just being a production tool for commercials and have Fred Astaire dancing with a vacuum cleaner or whatever they were using it for.
Well, and wasn't the story too where like they're just hemorrhaging money, and they can't pay him, so he's like, so every year he was like, okay, I'll work for you again for this year for another 10% of the company.
Steve Jobs
for 10% of the company. Yeah, there's something like that where
so
it
when
kept
they
going.
sold to
and
Disney,
he was like,
it was just another huge.
And he was like another 10% or something, and eventually he owned like a majority stake or something. Smart business guy, that guy.
Yeah, but which is funny. It reminds me of two other things on a tangent, and then we'll get back to the net. I swear. There was the John Knoll, one of the original ILM members and head of effects through ILM. He and his brother created Adobe Photoshop. I think we've talked about this in the past. But on top of as a side hobby, as a side job, when he wasn't building models and building all the infrastructure of what ILM and modern, digital storytelling was, he just developed a digital platform for altering photos. So the original
just
one.
A little thing.
And then sold it to Adobe or to whoever got that.
Little thing called Photoshop.
Yeah, he came up with Photoshop on the side. And then the other one was too, in terms of smart business moves or things you didn't realize were like just, making people money on every day. When they opened the Florida Universal Studios, they needed more IP. And so the people at Universal made a deal with Steven Spielberg that they wanted to use his Amblin, IP, even though he'd put the movies out with them, they didn't have theme park rights. So they wanted to make a deal with him to have theme park rights to all of his Steven Spielberg movies, E.T., Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Jaws. This was all sort of like the big rides that would open the Florida theme park.
Yeah.
And they would have them in LA too. But for that, again, like saying, but we don't have enough money, but we can cut you in on the profit. So from day one of every ticket sold, I think he gets like $3 for every ticket sold at Universal Studios theme parks. Or something insane like that. Even if it was just $1, I'm sure it'd be huge, but it's more than $1 per ticket sold. Either he's cut in for life.
How many Universal Studios theme parks are there? Is it just LA and Florida?
There's 4 now, as far as I know. There's LA, and then Florida, and then I want to say there's like Osaka, and maybe another one. Maybe I wouldn't say, yeah, but then they just opened a new Epic theme park. Down in Florida they have like 3 or 4 different gates, a water park, the studio, Islands of Adventure, and then a whole new one called Epic, which is the newest theme park to open up. This is my other side hobby of listening to nonstop theme park podcasts. But isn't that insane? I mean, Steven Spielberg, on top of all the movies and the money from that and producing all these huge hits for decades, he also is just there, just quietly collecting every ticket, taking points off of every ticket sold to these theme parks.
Oh my God.
Not bad, right?
Some people just, very skilled, but also right place, right time. Good managers, good lawyers.
You would like this one too. What is the it's not Gene Autry, the at Disneyland before Disneyland opened, they needed maybe it is Gene Autry. Disney photos. Let's see here. Yeah. So Gene Autry was, cowboy and had a lot of money and a lot of investments. And he let's see here. Oh gosh, it's not Audrey. We'll go ahead and say it was Gene Autry. I could be wrong. No, but somebody, one of these people. Anyway, I'll save the story for later. But basically, he got photo rights to run the photo shop at Disneyland, where he would, again, I think something was like 20 cents or 30 cents for every roll of film sold at Disneyland from 1955. I think he had like 20 years, or from 75. He got, just collected money because he hosted the opening day ceremonies of Disneyland when it first opened in 1955
for no pay. But he's like,
give me the rights to run the photo shop on Main Street. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure I can't pay that much. And then it was just I think there was some study that was done where it was like, 30% of every photo that was developed in America from 55 to 85 was at Disneyland.
What? Really?
There's just so many. Everybody took pictures. You had to, take pictures, photos at Disneyland.
So they took photos, like they would buy a roll of film, and then they would take photos at Disneyland of like them and their family, and then they would turn the film in there to get developed.
No, not even but they would buy the film. They'd run out of film. They'd bring their camera and didn't have film in it.
Yeah,
and so they could go to the photo shop on Main Street and buy a roll of film.
Oh my God. He was literally getting a percentage off of just the film being sold.
Yeah. The film rolls being sold. And because they would sell it at an elevated price, because where else are you going to go? There's nowhere else to go on property. If you wanted to take a picture of your kids, your darling children at Disneyland, you had to go to the photo store on Main Street and buy a new roll of 35 millimeter film, because you needed that. And so I think they upcharged it. He'd buy the roll for whatever it was, $2 at the time, sell it for $7. And then he would take his personal cut outside of just the amount of money the business was. It was just going straight to him just for having those rights, for just mentioning it probably over drinks with Walt. Like, sure, yeah, I'll do it. Because I think Walt originally wanted him to invest in in Disneyland. And he's like, no, that's too risky. You're kidding me. That's just, it's corn, or it's orange fields out there, walnut fields. no one's going to drive down to Orange County to go see your rinky dink kids park. So he turned that down, but then when Walt came back to him to host it, then he's like, okay, I'll do it. But here's what you don't have to pay me, because I know you don't have any money right now, but just give me this right. And I think they did the math on it. It was
just millions
in the high millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. Right.
These are the stories that keep Americans pushing.
Yeah. This is the,
someday I'm going to meet Walt Disney and make $1 million doing nothing.
Right. I know. That's all you need to do.
You won't.
Art Linkletter. There we go. That's why.
Oh my God.
Art Linkletter did this. Yeah, we all know Art Linkletter.
Wait, this is going to be a weird side thing, but who was the director of The Net?
Irwin Winkler.
Is that the Fonz?
No.
Henry Winkler's son or anything, or no?
No, I don't think so. But I looked him up. He was a producer. It was mainly what he was known for. But then he got into directing.
I feel like Winkler is a very strange name for two people in Hollywood to have.
Well, they have Winkler. 3 children: Charles Winkler, David Winkler, and Adam Winkler.
Not even a cousin of Henry Winkler.
Doesn't say anything about it here.
Does not want to be mentioned in the same sentence as Henry Winkler, aka the Fonz.
Yeah, maybe Winkler is a more common name than we know. But he produced the Rocky franchise.
Oh, geez.
As well as Raging Bull and Goodfellas and The Right Stuff.
And he directed The Net?
And he directed The Net, yeah. So his first film he directed in 1991 is Guilty by Suspicion, a Robert De Niro film about the Hollywood blacklist. Second film, 1992, Night in the City, also starring Robert De Niro. So it makes me wonder if there was a Robert De Niro and Jessica Lange. Was The Net originally supposed to star Robert De Niro? One could only imagine that was originally.
Wow, interesting.
It was his first film that didn't star Robert De Niro.
I wonder if he had. I wonder if because of the production, because he did Raging Bull. What else did he produce any other films with?
Goodfellas.
And Goodfellas. I wonder if he had a thing in the contract of like, okay, I'm going to give you some extra, but I need you when I do a movie.
You gotta help me.
You gotta get in there.
He did The Irishman. It seems like he's like a Robert De Niro producer.
Interesting.
And oh my God, but yeah, all the Rocky movies as well. He's a Cy Stallone and De Niro guy. But yeah, what a weird movie, right? The Net.
It was weird. It was
tense though. I was going with it as a floppy disk. It was Dennis Miller had a good turn there.
Yeah, I thought the Dennis Miller, what a 80s.
Hey, babe. You act like someone's trying to chase you, babe.
All right, babe. Okay. I'm out. I'm out of here.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and die over here. I got, what was his allergy to penicillin? Yeah, they got me. Okay. I know a guy, FBI guy. Don't worry about it. We're fine.
Yeah. He really, Dennis Miller is kind of he's like the chain link from kind of the old school vaudevillian style of comedy but he was like the young guy, right? In the 70s, kind of. Yeah. And then he was kind of the elder statesman in like the 80s and 90s when we started seeing him.
Oh, you think he was from that far back? I only know from SNL in the 90s when he was doing, But he always felt like he was a little older, like his style. He wasn't like Chris Farley and Dana. Right. I guess he's a little more
like those guys seemed young. Yeah. He seemed this kind of like old suit wearing kind of, hey, I'm going to give you some one-liners. Yeah. And then he became like the right wing kind of Republican guy. It
says, yeah. And he started doing stand-up in 1979.
Okay.
So
he's a little older.
He worked through the 80s. Yeah.
But I loved that he was just like a watered down version of himself.
It was a very strange part for him, but I'm sure it looked good at the time, like being this.
I'll see you, kid.
This Sandy Bullock movie in the 90s. Yeah, it's the kind of the sort of skeezy, sleazy ex-therapist who he had an affair with his client. Not particularly respectable, but this is the only person she could turn to, and when she's being erased from existence because everybody just believed computers and didn't believe her. Like, but the thing I couldn't understand is, like, well, wouldn't they do fingerprints?
Isn't there some kind of fingerprints?
But isn't there something on paper? No, by 95, everything had gone to computers.
Oh, you mean like that she could go to a records? Yeah, this all happened in like 3 days or something. Yeah. So maybe there just wasn't time.
Yeah. Okay.
She was being chased by a murderer and an FBI, and then a bunch of women that looked like her. They were like dressed like her. That had her old name.
Right. But it was an interesting taut, sort of almost Alfred Hitchcock, like, The Wrong Man, like some of this mistaken identity sort of thing. Like, you're looking for the wrong guy. It wasn't me. I couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Except it filtered through, this paranoia of the new internet age of everything. If everything's online, what if there's no online? Then you're nothing.
Yeah. Well, and when she's in like the chat rooms, I loved the graphics. Like when she's ordering a pizza.
Oh yeah, right.
I don't think it was that easy to order a pizza online back then.
It's still not that easy.
No. Like to have like, that's what I felt like. I'm like, it's not supposed to be in the future. It was supposed to be in 1995, but like no one's ordering a pizza online.
Yeah.
That quick of like, it will be there in 45 minutes. I'm like, not even. Almost nobody even had the internet then.
I did have a funny
I didn't
thing
have email.
No, of course not.
I mean, I had school. I had like my email for college, but I didn't have my own computer until I moved to LA, and that was like 2000.
Oh my God. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like a desktop computer because you didn't need what do you need a computer for?
I was ordering a bunch of pizzas for our youngest birthday last month. And I thought, well, I better just call. I will use the Domino's app. Shout out Domino's if you want to sponsor the podcast. I was using the app. I normally do that and it's easy. Not as easy as she made it seem on her website, but again, you got to like go through and cycle through and select your thing and log in and do all the stuff you got to do. Put your credit card info in. But then, I figured I would call because I was ordering a bunch of them, and I'm still old school like that, where there's just certain things. I don't know if have you seen this thing where there's like big purchase items. If you're going to purchase something online, you got to do it from a laptop or a computer. Like that's not a phone thing. Are you will you buy plane tickets on your phone?
I mean, I wouldn't think of it. I would think it would just be easier on the computer.
That's it, right? Yeah, because we're of that generation. I was like, I want to have more room to type. I'm gonna have to type a lot of things.
I can't even see my phone. Yeah. What are you kidding? Exactly, yeah. I don't want to fly to the right place, wrong place.
So to me,
like, does that say Beijing?
Huh? What?
I don't know.
But so I called Domino's, the store. I thought I was calling the store, and I talked to this woman for about 20 minutes. And I placed the whole order again, 6 pizzas with extra things and something in this one and that one. And then she got to the end. She's like, it was just a call center. I started to understand, like, okay, this is probably just a call center in India. And then she's like, yeah, it's just not working. So you gotta just call back. I'm like, wait, what? Like they couldn't take the order. She's like, I'm trying to connect you to the store, but the store's not picking up. And yeah, I just can't do it. I was like, oh no, like after all that. So I think basically what it was, I was calling somebody in India for her to use the app on her phone to put the order in. Is what it felt like. So I was like, no, never mind. It's fine. So I just went on the app and I was like, this is just I thought I was calling somebody at a store who was going to put the order, because I was going to do it for the next morning, because we were having it delivered to a park. So there was a lot of complications. I just didn't trust an app to get it right. I thought if I talked to a real person at a real location, it would get it right, but it was not the case. So I did it on the app, and it was exactly right, and I got all the points for it. So now I have like 6 free pizzas or something, because I bought so much fucking pizza.
It really is not any. It isn't more convenient
to call people. No, or there's life, or just the future we live in, all this dystopian future.
Because you have to have all these things. I mean, obviously, if you're like, if you're a person that is like very, like, can see the immediate flaws in a lot of capitalism, then you can see like, well, of course it's not convenient, but they say it's convenient but you need all these new devices and you need all this stuff, and everybody else makes all the middleman. Like the middleman makes all the money, and then you're still getting your pizza. But instead of just paying like one person to work full time to just answer phones and do orders, which would be way more convenient.
What you used to do at pizza shops.
Way cheaper.
Yeah.
Like way cheaper for everyone. But it would not create this system that we have to where you need all this shit to like order a pizza. Like, wait, what do I need? Okay, I need to be on the app and I need to have put in your email. You gotta have
my credit card.
You have a code. You have to verify two-way authentication. Blah 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 blah. And then you go, can I get a cheese pizza? And they go, where would you like your cheese pizza to come from? Like, wait, where am I talking to? No, I live in India.
Yeah, this is
how did that happen? Wait, no, I want to. It's like someone could answer the phones for like even now, good $15 an hour. Someone would go, I will gladly sit and answer every single call. And I will be the best like order person that has ever lived. I'm making good money. I'm just chilling out. I'm going to know all the addresses and all the town and everything. Like, no. That's way too easy. What we're going to do is we're going to ship it off halfway around the world. And maybe it'll work. I mean, I'm coming off of, I finally got did I tell you about this stuff that I ordered for towns for soccer?
Oh no, coming from China.
And it never came.
No. It was sitting in FedEx. Right.
It was sitting in FedEx for 1 month. Right.
What happened? Yeah. Cause they couldn't deliver it finally showed box. Up. They did deliver it. Oh
yeah. Because they're like, oh no, FedEx will, they just have to contact the post office, but I couldn't get anyone on the phone and on the soccer place. It was like, they were like, yeah, we can't do anything. And then the 3 people that I talked to were all working from home. Like, sorry, the internet is not so good at my house. And I was like, right. Okay.
Thanks.
And then they're like, well, FedEx, but they don't go to PO boxes. I'm like, you guys, this is your problem. You let me put a PO box in and you shipped it out. And then FedEx, I could never get a hold of someone. And then finally I get a thing that it's like, well, it's finally moving. And I'm like, so it's sat in this warehouse for like 3 weeks. I couldn't get anyone on the phone. Nobody knows what to do. And then it finally shows up and it's just kind of like a sticker over the thing. And it just looks like somewhat whatever.
So like,
I get to the post office and I was like, oh my God, it showed up. And I went to get it with our little slip. And she goes, I'm like, did that come from FedEx? And she's like, I don't know.
All right. No more information. It's here now.
And I was like, oh. She's like, I don't know. They're horrible though. Next. And I was like, oh, everybody's just so pissed. For good reason.
Yeah, of course.
For good reason, because they're like,
Life is
I don't
so
know.
much
No one tells me. This post office used to be like a great job that people just had, and it was super like, people cared about it, people blah, blah, blah. And now they're like, I don't know, man.
Whatever.
Sometimes FedEx shows up, sometimes UPS shows up. I'm just handing things over the counter and trying to get home.
Yeah.
Trying to go home.
So don't make my life harder. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. I don't need any of these stupid questions. You're the one that got it from FedEx.
Yeah. It's your fault, dummy. I was going to say.
She's not wrong.
When years ago, we were just talking about like just the way, the systems and how everything's working. I remember years ago, I played downtown LA. I played at the Smell on New Year's, and I had to go drop all our gear off also downtown at our old practice space. And then I was driving back past a bar and I was just like stuck at a red light, and this couple like waved me down, and I was like, this is weird. Like, what's going on? And they're like, hey, we can't get any taxis. We're like staying in like Little Tokyo. It's like whatever, 8 blocks away. But they just didn't want to walk through downtown because they were having a night out. They were staying at a hotel in Little Tokyo, and we're at a fancy bar all dressed up for New Year's. And I was just a guy driving, and I had a SUV and nothing in it because I just unloaded all the gear and was just driving. And they're like, hey, look, we'll give you $40 to just drive us back to our hotel. And I was like, this is weird. I was kind of looking at them. I was like, they look like they have more money and they look nicer than I do.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I was like, I don't think we probably got paid for the show. Probably had $200 in my pocket. I was like, I don't think they're going to rob me. They look, what I mean? They looked like they were well-to-do, and they're offering me $40 to drive them 6 blocks. I'm like, fuck it. Yeah. Hop in.
I'm going to take
this
chance.
Yeah. Let's see what happens here. And it was great. And they were wasted. And, I'm just like, this is so funny. And I was like, okay. And they've taken a huge risk on me too. Like I could have been a serial killer.
Yeah.
But I think they were just desperate and they wanted to get back. And then so I dropped them off for the thing, and they're cool. And the guy gave me like 50. He gave me more money. I was
give
like,
you a tip too.
Yeah, I was like, this is great. Like somebody should do something with this. Like that was so easy. I was just driving by, and then I ended up going home or meeting up with friends later. I was like, guys, you wouldn't believe this. Someone just gave me $50 to drive them like a few blocks. And it just, and then later, whatever it was, 3-4 years later, hearing about like Uber and rideshare things, I was like, I did that. That happened. Somebody made an app for a random thing that happened to me one time, and now there's an app for it.
Pre-internet rideshare.
Just being a guy driving around. I mean, I guess it's basically just like, sanctioned hitchhiking. You know what I mean? It's like if you're people used to hitchhike. I don't think anyone hitchhikes anymore because it's dangerous.
You can hitchhike for free, but it's illegal to offer someone money.
But if you get into someone's car that has a little like light on it, and they have a phone, and you have a phone, and your phones know each other, then it's okay to hitchhike and pay them
to make money,
or to pay a company to not pay them enough and charge them as independent contractors, and they have to pay taxes on it. You're still basically hitchhiking because that guy's not getting paid enough. But you're paying somebody else, a company that knows how to have your phones talk to each other, which is what all phones do is talk to each other. But it's the middleman. Your phones. We're the guy that says your phones are fine. Okay, so this is fine for me to get in a stranger's car? Probably. I don't know. So. It's not really our problem. You signed away in the user agreement that you didn't read that we're not responsible for anything that happens to you. But yeah, try it. See what happens.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
It's close.
Can I go to the airport?
Figure it out.
Sure.
Yeah. You'll probably make it.
It's insane.
Better than getting in with a stranger. Better than hitchhiking.
Right?
Uber. Better than hitchhiking.
Yeah. He has a phone.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. I guess I'm traceable.
Probably fine. Oh my God. It's nuts. Okay. We've gone over an hour. This was fantastic. Next week, we wrapped up our 3 episode run of Jeff's. Jeff Byron, Jeff Parker, Jeff Schroeder, Jeff Parker. And then next I have Ned Raggett, music journalist. He has an incredible voice. It's like listening to a radio show the whole time. For this next episode, it's coming out this Thursday. He had a radio show in Southern California in the late 80s through the 90s on KUCI, and he's been a prolific music journalist. I first came across him when I was doing research, and again back in 1990. Probably 6 or 7, 97, looking for information about My Bloody Valentine. He was one of the few people who had talked to the elusive Kevin Shields post Loveless pre-reunion. So he had this, it was like, this was me again, this kind of intersects our 90s internet sci-fi summer movie watching. Me as a young man on the internet, I found Ned Raggett and his transcript of an interview with a very mysterious musician who I was so fascinated and obsessed with. And I was willing to search the bowels of the dark web of 1995 and go on a college radio station from Irvine and find this thing. So I knew him from that. I remembered him, and I've been following, and we've been friends. We've talked about other bands, and he's done tons of great music journalism over the years, and has a really great story just kind of about music journalism and journalism in the digital age, kind of going from physical media now to online stuff. He has a great Patreon for his writing, and it's cool. It's a great story, and he gives me the whole story, and it sounds so sonorous and deep and bellowy, and he's got a great voice. So that's coming up, but it's cool because again, just looking at stuff, he kind of had a bend towards the noisier stuff and the kind of the goth sort of side of things. So all of his music journalism is really cool and really comes from like a personal sort of space and really thoughtful with lots of history. And it's fun following him online because I just sort of see. I always feel like it's a window into like smart people that talk about music. I don't consider myself to be a smart person. I talk about music, but I don't have like any kind of college credentials, or I've never published anything about it. But, so I was like hearing that him or like his opinions, and then his comment section is all full of people. I'm like, this is just hanging out like at the smart kid table. This is cool. Yeah. And they're like making jokes, and it's like, I just feel smarter reading his writing in the comment section. I'm like, I like all these people. They seem like a fun group of people.
Oh, that's awesome. Speaking of the 90s, I just started listening to an audiobook of that was about Lollapalooza.
Ooh.
I feel like we were talking about this again, it just popped up on my like, you might like this. And I'm like,
bet you're damn straight I would. What's it called?
Well, it's weird. So hold on, I'm looking it up right now. Because I looked at it and I thought it was a podcast because it just popped up you might like this.
Podcast. I'm sure there's one of those out there.
Yeah, it's just called Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza podcast.
But it comes up as an audiobook on Spotify.
Okay.
But then it just says Richard Beanstalk and
that's not a real name.
Tom Beaujour's I don't know, audiobook. I don't know. But it's a bunch of chapters.
Yeah. It was the Lollapalooza of times. It was the Beanstalk of times.
But the weirdest thing is that it's not written in story format. It's just quotes from the people that were involved.
So it's like an oral history.
It's like an
AI book or something. There must have been. I'm sure you could program
it probably is because some of it.
Because Richard Beanstalk does not sound like a real name. That's like an AI pseudonym. If you could just search the web for all quotes about it.
Beanstalk is BIENSTOCK. But it's like quotes from everybody that was involved, but it's not their real voice. It's like an actor, but it's definitely, I think it's an AI voice.
It's a computer reading quotes.
Because every once in a while, like everything would be like,
what's it called?
It just says Lollapalooza.
Non-copyright infringement.
Alternative Rock's, the story of Alternative Rock's wildest festival.
That sounds like an AI title too. That's not even like any opinions or point of view at all.
But then it has like quotes from Henry Rollins and it's so it'll start with kind of a story.
It doesn't say where they said it. It doesn't say, according to the interview he did in Rolling Stone in 1992 with this writer, Henry Rollins was quoted as saying. It doesn't give attributions or anything. Whoa. That sounds pirated as fuck.
But
is it good?
It's interesting. Well,
that's fucked up. It's the worst garbage and trash. But is it good? It's kind of good.
It's I don't like the format. Like I want a story.
Yeah.
So I don't but it will be like, it'll be talking about body count. And then it's like 25 different quotes about the people that were involved talking about the situation with body count and Henry Rollins and Gibby's shotgun and, whatever. It was like, it'll go through this thing and then it just kind of moves on. And now I'm on the 1992.
Oh, okay.
The beginning of 1992.
Awesome.
But either way, I would rather listen to Henry Rollins' podcast about his
actual point of view.
Go listen to the quotes. Henry Rollins podcast about Lollapalooza because it might be the best 2-hour podcast.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Yeah, I have a journal, it's again, I wrap up here, but they're from the 95 Lollapalooza with Sonic Youth and all those, the ones I went to that one. But there was a little book that I think all of the musicians were journaling, or filing stories, firsthand stories from the road to Spin. So I think they were basically sending emails from the road in 95 to Spin, and then Spin would publish them in the thing, and then they compiled it into a small book. So it's like each band has a daily sort of check-in of what happened at Lollapalooza, and it was sort of the first kind of pre-Twitter or pre-social media, but it was every band had an opportunity or kind of an open invite to just, hey, email somebody at Spin and we'll collect it all and we'll run it and kind of see what it's like in real time as you guys are on the road and from your perspective. And it's kind of a cool piece. I remember Lee Ronaldo seemed to really take with it, and he did there was a lot of entries from him, and it was sort of the news, so how to use the web, a new way of journalism, but first-hand information. But it's a cool Spin 1995 Lollapalooza journal, and it's in a small cool thing and got cool photos. And I remember buying it because I was just a crazy music fan at that age, that time. Not like now where I'm very mature and very thoughtful.
Yeah, you hate music.
Yeah. No, I just hate Smashing Pumpkins. All right, specifically Billy Corgan. Yeah. All right.
This is the way to get him on this is the way to get him on the podcast.
Just nagging. Yeah,
I would never want him on here being interviewed by me for 2 hours talking about wrestling.
I think we're lucky. I don't think he'll ever come on. I don't think he'll ever hear this.
Hey, you never know. This might be his jam. Winning over the haters.
The Billy Corgan story.
New podcast, Winning Over the Haters.
That could be it. Yeah. All right. See everybody on Thursday. Bye.
All right. Bye.